What's up guys? My name is Michael, and in my last video we did a comparison with the X-T2 and the X-T3, and we're gonna do that again today. A lot of people complained about not doing a high ISO test. Some other people complained about using a wide angle lens. Some other people complained about not doing a RAW test. Okay, RAW is still not possible until now. That might change tomorrow or anytime soon, but until now I can only shoot, or I can only open JPEG images from the X-T3. So yesterday evening I went out to the same place where I shot my last comparison, and I did some high ISO tests. The results are in my Capture One catalog right here, and we're going to talk about that right now. But first of all, I want to talk about some of the comments that I got on my last video. Just to clarify, Fuji calls the X-T3 also Project Extra Turbo. They don't call it extra resolution, and they don't call it extra detail or extra dynamic range or something like that. So just to clarify, nobody says that the X-T3 provides any improved or largely improved image quality. We might see a change or an increase in dynamic range as soon as we can open the RAW files, but we see an increase in frames per second, and we see a big increase in autofocus performance, and of course a big increase in video capabilities and video performance. So all of that, and especially at that price tag, makes the X-T3 really a great choice for photographers and filmmakers, at least in my opinion. So let's not be too hard about those image quality things that we talk about. Still, I think it's an important thing to do, and it's important to compare, are there any changes from the X-T2 to the X-T3, and what do these changes look like? So that's what we're going to do today. So not that I would expect any big changes, because I really appreciate the image quality from the X-T2 and actually all the X cameras. Fuji does a great job squeezing out amazing details out of this APS-C sensor, and if you haven't already, or maybe I will do that, you should compare an X-T2 or an X-T3 or any Fuji X camera against a full frame camera from the competition, like the A7 or the 5D Mark IV or something like that, and you will really be surprised how close these images are and on how little differences regarding detail and noise and stuff there really is. So let's go into these images. What I did here, as I told you, I went to the same place that I was before, just because to make things comparable, to see what a real life situation, and a lot of people shoot JPEG by the way, what a real life situation shooting images outdoors might really look like. So right now we are in Capture One, and I have two images from each from one camera, shot at the same exposure, ISO 6400, 1.7 seconds exposure time, f5.6 on the 23 1.4 lens. So you can see the images at the full scale, and we're gonna go into them right now. So let's zoom in to first 100%. Let's go to the same area, and now we can start comparing high ISO images from both cameras. Now, as you can see, there are some lights down here that have been turned off in this situation, although they have been shot directly next to each other. So that was just some crazy coincidence here. But we have the same settings, and you can see that here and here. Now, again, just like in my last video, the image from the X-T2 is the upper one, and on the bottom we have the image from the X-T3. Now at this magnification we won't see any differences. Let's go in all the way to 400%. And before we talk about these images at 400%, I was so surprised on all the comments that I got on my last comparison video, because everybody seemed to see something else. I think it's pretty difficult to judge image quality on a YouTube video anyway, and a lot of people said JPEG is not a real comparison, but I really think it is a real comparison because many people shoot JPEG, and honestly I don't think that the raw quality will differ a lot, but of course you will see changes in dynamic range when we're able to process the raw files. I think the X-T3 will be better in that comparison. So what I can see here is that probably the noise up here in this dark area is a little more than down here. But that's not as much as probably some of you have expected. It's a little different, but I'm pretty sure that in a real world situation where you print these images or you give them to your clients for whatever they might use it for, I'm sure nobody will see that difference. Even if I repeat myself, we might, and I guess we will see changes as soon as we process the raw files, which is not possible today. So stop commenting on please do a raw comparison. Give me a raw converter and I'll do it, but I don't have one. So let's go right here to see if there are any changes in dynamic range. And honestly, to me, there is no change. So all the details in these areas seem to be the same. If we compare these windows and the point at which they start to overexpose, and also down here, it looks the same to me. There is no real difference. One thing that I would need to add here is that Fuji probably wants the images to look really close to each other. And that's something that I would also do if I would be involved in that process. Because a lot of you don't sell their X-T2 once they get an X-T3. And a lot of professional photographers carry two bodies. So when I shoot an event or whatever it is with two bodies, because I carry different lenses or whatever it is, I want the images to look the same. I don't want my customer to see that one image has been shot on one camera and the other one has been shot on another camera. It doesn't make any sense. So as long as we shoot JPEG, I think Fuji's goal is to keep these images as close as possible, and we will know once we process raw files. Now let's have a look at images that have been shot at ISO 12,800. You can see the exposure down here, and to me, I mean, I have already looked at these images, but I'm going to show them to you right now. We're going to go through them, and the level of noise and the level of detail. Now I have already looked through these images, obviously, but I'm going to go through them with you right now. So just to show you what the differences are, if there are any differences. And of course, I also want you to judge for yourself. So what I'm going to do for this image with the 12,800 ISO, This is straight out of camera. Obviously, I didn't do anything to this picture. I won't talk about that image. I will just let you judge for yourself if you would see any differences at all. So, I mean, we can look at this area here and compare it to this area. Maybe you can see something there, or maybe not. Let's keep the discussion coming up. It's gonna be interesting what you guys are gonna say. As you can see, somebody turned on and off their lights during my tests. Let's go back down here. We have some highlight areas down there. You can compare if there is a difference in the signs and in the letters here, if you can see one of them better. And I'm gonna give you some dark areas one more time. Maybe the roof of this building might be something you would want to compare. But just to remember, look how close we are in these images. All right? So that's just a comparison that needs to be done, obviously. What I would suggest, instead of comparing images at 400% and discussing if one camera is better or the other is better and which sensor technology is better and stuff like that, guys, just appreciate what we are able to do with digital photography today and appreciate what it gives you and see the opportunities and go ahead and take good pictures. Don't complain about not seeing an improvement in image quality. If you want to see an improvement in image quality, don't wait for the next camera in the same line. What I would suggest is that you get up one level, not on, or maybe 2 levels. Don't go to full frame. It's not worth it, in my opinion. But if you make a switch over to medium format, then you're gonna see a huge improvement in image quality, in detail, in dynamic range. So many benefits from medium format. It's unbelievable. And make sure to check out my comparison video. I did a pretty unfair test with the Fuji X-Trans versus medium format on my Phase 1 camera. You can see that that would be a worthy update. By the way, before I'm ending this video, I'm working on a video, actually 2 videos, in which I explain all the camera settings in the X-H1 and in the X-T3. This video will be available for purchase, but it's gonna be a really fair price. And I'm gonna release it pretty soon, so if you're interested in that, let me know in the comments. And it's gonna be really, really detailed, and I'm gonna tell you how I set up my custom functions, which menu settings I use for certain situations and what they mean. And I think it's gonna be a pretty good help for a lot of you setting up their Fuji X cameras. That's coming up pretty soon, not on YouTube. Obviously, I'm gonna tell you on YouTube, but you won't be able to watch it there. But it's gonna be a product that you can get for a really, really good price. That's all for now. I'm really excited to hear about your comments, and I'm also excited to see tests that other people will do with this camera. I'm also pretty excited to see when DP Review will put the X-T3 in their studio comparison tool, because it's a great source for comparing cameras. Can't wait for that. Have a good day. Thanks for watching. Hit the like button if you haven't already, and see you next time.